Look, I mean, I thought we played okay. Really we just wanted to tighten up a little bit defensively. I thought we had a number of breakdowns that led to just some really easy baskets for them. And, we kind of didn't have like a lot of time to prepare, but we had enough to know what things we're willing to live with and what we weren't. Just really trying to tidy that up and honestly just trying to get the girls to be a little more aggressive offensively. I felt like Perth were giving us, some shots that I thought we could make. And so just trying to remind the players of that, to keep being aggressive, keep pushing the ball up the floor and, really proud of them. They did a great job in the second half.
What do you think flipped there in the third quarter to make it so dominant?
We defended. Like we started with that, we defended really well, and that allowed us to get out and flow into things a little bit better. I think just, the way the game was going, like they obviously shot the ball well from the three-point line in the first half, and then I thought we tightened it up a little bit. We made it a bit harder for them to generate good shots, and we're able to get some stops, and that just kind of flowed from there.
You're up as much as 19 at one point, and went down 5 points there in the last minute. Were you getting nervous on the bench?
No, not nervous. I think we've had enough games this year where things like that have happened, and against Perth, no lead is safe. So we knew they were going to make a run at some point, and then of course it happened. I think there was a discrepancy with the scoreboard as well. So we came over timeout. I think it went from 15 to 12, and so there was a few things like that. But I think it's some really good learnings for us going into the next game, how to handle those moments and know how to play against a team that can make runs in a hurry like that.
Courtney, what do you think made the difference tonight?
I think we kind of just stuck a bit more to the game plan. I think in the first half, obviously Han's a ginormous presence in the keyway, but I think in the second half we were just a bit braver, and I think we just attacked her a little bit more, and obviously that ended up paying off. And then I think kind of like Shannon said, we were able to kind of get some more stops and get a bit of momentum and get that lead out. But I feel like Perth obviously an amazing offensive team, and they got a couple ones kind of late and fourth, so really happy to kind of keep the lead and finish it off.
You head to Perth with the one game advantage. How do you stop a repeat of the semi-final game two?
Great question. That one is on Shannon. I feel like that's Shannon's job, and to kind of figure out the game plan, and then it's on us to obviously execute it. But I feel like for game two last time, we had kind of all the tools and plans to do it. We just didn't execute it. So I feel like that should hopefully be the biggest wake-up call, and obviously you don't want to continue to have wake-up calls at this point in the season, so that will hopefully be enough. Obviously one game doesn't really mean anything in a series. Obviously we're happy to go to Perth with the lead, but obviously you need 2 games to finish it off.
Shannon, how do you carry the momentum over to Western Australia?
We'll get over there tomorrow and we'll start to figure that out. But, I think we learned a lot in that Southside series about how we need to approach games, and when you go and play a finals game on someone else's home floor, it is different to the regular season. And obviously coming off a loss, Perth are going to be seething. They're going to be coming after us. It's going to be really aggressive and physical, and they're in their home gym where they feel comfortable. So, I think we need to be ready to defend at a really high level and hopefully have a little bit more focus than we did in the Southside series in game 2.
Your team didn't hit a 3-point until that last minute of the first half. Is that something you need to address, or you're happy to still just be close in the contest?
No, I'd like us to take another 15 threes in the next game, I think, if we can get them. But the way Perth defend us, obviously they're trying to limit some of that. So I think we just need to be ready to take the shots that are available, and like today, be ready to knock them down. So whether that's threes or pull-ups or getting to the rim or whatever it is, but I think if we can move the ball a little bit better consistently, we'll probably get a few more than what we did today. But I think that's the beauty and strength of our team, is we can kind of adapt and take what the defense is willing to give us, and we've got talented players that can make those shots.
Great, that's me done, Jim. Guys, you can jump in.
Sorry, just stay down the Zoom again. We can't hear properly. Shannon, Craig, on as you in Perth. You mentioned the discrepancy before, the change in the last quarter. Brian was a bit confused as to what had happened, and the TV broadcast gave us a different story to what he'd been told. Can you explain to us what you were told around that change of score in the last quarter?
I'm pretty sure Maylee hit a 3, and as she shot it, there was a foul under the basket. And the referees called the foul as she was shooting it or whatever happened, and they decided to wave the basket off. And then at the next time out, due to the new rules apparently that we've got, they can go back and talk about it again, and they decided that it should have counted. so they added the 3 points back on. So instead of us being up 15, we're up 12.
Yeah, that's what the broadcast said as well. Were you comfortable with finding out 25 minutes after the incident happened that you were going to have 3 points, the game was 3 points closer?
I mean, I don't really care, mate, to be honest. Like, the refs are great and they do what they're doing, and, you know, that's sort of it. I can't control that, so I just focus on what we're doing.
You've had a real ability this year to make games against Perth look like your style of basketball rather than theirs. What's been the key to changing the momentum so often during games and making it look like a Townsville game rather than a Lynx game?
Well, I mean, I think today was a Lynx game. They shot 36 threes. You know, so I think we need to look at that, maybe not give them quite as many threes, but, you know, I think that, like, as I said, like, we've played the same way for, I don't know, the last 5 years. Ryan knows that really well. We know sort of what they do, or he changes it up a little bit each year, I guess, but, you know, and they've sort of defended us the same way for 5 years as well, so we're kind of aware of what we're going to go into, and, you know, I think if we're comfortable with taking the shots that they allow us to take, and, you know, our players can make them, then we have a chance to win.
And Courtney, the pressure that you put on them, especially early, like some of the steals you had which set you up in that first quarter, is that the key to taking them out of what they want to do?
I think it helps, but I feel like the key to kind of Perth is just like, you've got to just be consistent over 40 minutes. Like, I feel like you kind of saw, like, we made a couple errors and then suddenly they've scored like back-to-back possessions. So it's kind of just like, I think from the start to the end of the game, you just got to try and make them take like shots they're not super comfortable with, and they'll still make them. Like, Atwell obviously hit some crazy shots, but I feel like with Perth, you've just got to really try and like live with the percentages a little bit.
And just the last one for me, more big picture than necessarily tonight. I'll ask Amy about this as well. Sunday, we've got the Matildas in Perth playing in a massive game, which will have heaps of people watching women's sport, and you playing in a grand final, which will have heaps of people watching women's sport. Like, it's a massive occasion in WA on that day. How exciting is it to know that pretty much everyone's going to be watching women's sport on Sunday?
See you, I think.
That's
Yeah.
you, Courtney.
That's awesome. Yeah, see, Matildas, I feel like have really set the standard the last couple of years for women's sports. So it's awesome to for the WNBL even to be kind of mentioned in the same sentence as the Matildas. But I feel like I think the Perth game they said is already sold out. So that's awesome that their fans are getting behind them. Our fans obviously were amazing tonight and continue to show out. So I think it's really awesome that WNBL just continues to grow and fans continue to get behind both teams.
Next, Bert.
Hey guys, it's just Seb from AAP. Shannon, I'll start with you. Obviously, Hanju and just kind of her influence on the game was a pretty big kind of talking point throughout the week. How do you feel like your side kind of dealt with her tonight?
Look, I think we did a good job. You know, we blew a few assignments with her, and I think there'll be some things we need to adjust for the next game with how we deal with her. But, you know, I said this in the week, she's one of the best players in the world. You know, Perth have been really lucky to bring her out here, and she's such an impactful player. And, you know, she's capable of doing anything on the floor, shooting threes, finishing in the post. Defensively, she's elite. So, you know, they're really lucky to have someone of absolute world-class standard on their team, and you know, we're going to have to do everything in our power to try and keep her quiet again in the next game.
I think today you scored a significant majority of your points kind of in the paint and in 2-pointers. Are you kind of happy with that, or would you have liked to see the team kind of make a couple more threes?
Yeah, as I said, I mean, I'd like to see us take another 15 threes if we can get them. You know, our goal is to kind of get up, you know, above that 25 per game. If we can get closer to 30, I think with the players we've got would be great. But as I said, I think if the way they're going to defend is to give us those, you know, those paint twos or shots at the rim or whatever it is, then, you know, I guess we'll just have to take what we get.
Courtney, obviously, I think you guys had 5 days of like less preparation time than the Lynx did just because after that Flyers game on Sunday. How do you feel like the side did actually respond to that really short turnaround?
Yeah, I think really well. I think kind of this point of the year, everyone's tired and like probably every other person's carrying an injury. So I feel like it doesn't really matter when you get here. And I think that's something I definitely learned last year is I feel like the team who makes less excuses and the team who kind of like less worries about the fatigue is usually a team that ends up winning. So that's definitely not been discussed kind of in our group or like any excuses. Like like Perth obviously got some rest, but we kind of ended up obviously winning the minor premiership, so we were lucky enough to have the home game. So we're really lucky that we could stay home. But then we both teams obviously then have to travel back to Perth. So yeah, we'll see how we go on Sunday.
And it's kind of been the story of Townsville's season that there has been kind of multiple different scorers scoring every single night. I think you had 5 players in double digits tonight. How nice is it that that momentum and that, yeah, has kind of carried over from the regular season into now the championship series?
Yeah, I think that's what makes a great team, and I feel like I think obviously like Alicia Froling, how she played in the semi-final was awesome. Mila had a great game tonight. I think kind of at any night we can have kind of that 6 to 7 players that are capable of scoring 20 points, and I think that's what makes us really hard to guard. So I think when we are kind of locked in defensively, and we have all these weapons offensively, we're a tough team to beat.
And just from you, obviously, I think you got 10 points in that really big third quarter for you guys. What was kind of running through your head after halftime and then going into that second half?
Yeah, I think kind of the first half, like I was able to kind of get to the pull-ups, which is what Perth like kind of are giving you, and then I was a bit hesitant with it. So I think kind of just going to the second half, I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it. So kind of went, obviously had a bit more like momentum with my shot, was able to knock a couple down, and I think that was able to give us a bit of energy and a bit of flow. So just kind of decided to be brave.
Awesome. Anyone else in the Zoom?
Shannon, congratulations on the win. The first half was played at a really intense pace, and both teams stayed real close to each other. But your outside game seemed to be, held to a lower percentage than normal, and you started working the inside. Was this part of your strategy to adjust, or just the way the game developed?
Again, just the way the game developed, really. Like Perth, obviously, with Hahn being in the middle of the keyway, like they wanted to stay at home on a lot of other players off the ball, and some teams choose to do that, or some teams choose to tag off against our roller in ball screen. So I guess that just creates a lot more space in the middle of the keyway. So we sort of tried to take advantage of that. And I guess we'll just have to see what, if any, adjustments happen in game 2.
And Courtney, for you, that steal that you made with about 2 minutes or so left in the third quarter seemed to be like a real statement in a part of the game where you guys had held Perth to 10 points. Were you happy with the way you guys and your defence raised the bar in that quarter to really try and keep Perth down to such a low score?
Yeah, I think anytime you can kind of make Perth uncomfortable is a win. Obviously, they have so many great offensive talents that I feel like we did kind of have some lapses towards the end, but Perth obviously a really hard team to like keep down. So you kind of just got to take the runs with it. Like obviously they're going to hit shots and then you get a couple stops in a row. So just being able to stay confident in the runs, and when they do hit some crazy shots, that it doesn't disrupt us too much on offense. But it'll be interesting to kind of go back and watch the tape, because I feel like we kind of have a fair few things that we can improve on, and I'm sure Perth does as well. So Sunday's game should be really interesting.
Great, that's it for me. Thanks.
Hey guys, Lockie from WNBL. Just 2 from me. Firstly, Shannon, it seems like you guys were really comfortable with attacking Hahn in the paint, and obviously Courtney was doing a lot of that with stepping around Hahn, and it seems like movement was obviously the goal, and then Alicia tried to post her up and it didn't exactly work. But was that a conscious effort from your end to make Hahn move to sort of open up the defense and stop the sort of gridlock that happens when she's so close to the basket?
Yeah, we just, I guess so, but I think a lot of it is just our players making great plays. We obviously put the system in place and teach the reads and speak about the potential ways we can attack how we might be defended, and then the players have to go and make those reads and make those plays and show their skill to be able to do that. And Woody made some great plays going at the rim and finishing and that sort of thing. And I think we've in patches this year against Perth, we've done okay with that. So as I said, we'll go and look at the film and see what we can do differently for game 2. But I'm sure it's going to be a real battle.
And Woody, it seems like you sort of just adapt to the situation. You can score if you want to. You can lead the league in assists for half the year, and then today you sort of just had to set the tone and hustle as hard as you can to make the crowd roar and So is that something you as a player are doing, or is that more of a conscious captain effort for the team?
Stumped again. I think the finals, like, it just, like, each game kind of depends. And I think for our team, like, every single game, I think we need something different. And I feel like for me, I just try to, like, fill the gaps when I can. And obviously playing with players like Mila, like, just trying to get her as involved as we can. But kind of like Shannon said, Perth are, like, a hard team to play against because Han's staying at home. So, like, your reads are all kind of a bit thrown off. So, and what they do kind of give up is that snake pull-up. So I kind of knew that would kind of be a bit more on tonight. And then kind of they adjusted, so I tried to pass a bit better. But in the finals, I swear I still am trying to pass. I know I've suddenly no assists, but I am trying, and I'll try on Sunday to continue to pass better. But I know there's been a bit of a drop off, but I am still trying to pass better.
And what's your message? Like, obviously, you're doing the cross-country gauntlet this weekend, going into Perth, and you've been in these situations before, with and without cowboy hats, but how do you sort of inspire the troops and make sure that everyone knows you don't want a game 3? As much as you love the home crowd, you don't want the game.
Yeah, I think kind of like this series, we've just kind of approached each game just like as an individual, and you don't want to kind of get caught up too much in the big picture because like I think that's when we start to play tight. So I think even going in tonight, you just kind of are looking at game 1 just by itself. So we'll do the same thing with game 2, and like obviously we'll have like a similar game plan, probably have some adjustments. I'm sure Perth will too, but just kind of taking every possession as it is because Perth is such a great team that I feel like as soon as you start thinking about game 3 or even like 10 possessions, that's when they hit crazy shots. So just kind of taking it one possession at a time, do the best we can over there.
Cool. Thanks, guys. That's all I think on Zoom.
Thank you.
Yep, that's all on Zoom. We'll see you on the weekend.